What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Scott Moss, and in this video, I want to talk about something that really hits home for me on many different levels, and it's going to be the 5 things that you need to be focused on as a founder, otherwise your startup might die. Okay, so before we get into it, a little bit about me if you're new to the channel so you can see, why I'm talking about these 5 things. So right now, currently, I'm an investor at one of the top seed stage funds in the world here in the Bay Area. I spend a lot of my time working with early stage founders, mostly software, but actually, some moonshots and a bunch of really cool, crazy stuff out there as well. And I see a lot of pitches. I also work with the founders that we invest in, helping them do things like hire their first engineers, go to market, finding product market fit, and pretty much everything in between. And then before that, I was a founder myself. I founded multiple companies. Some have been funded, and being on the other side of the fence, having to pitch VCs, I have that experience as well. So I kind of have my own stories to tell about that. And in fact, you can check out my last video where I talk about a time where I had to pitch a VC and it was kind of awkward. So this video is just me trying to summarize 5 things that I think that might be helpful for you if you're starting a company right now. So listen up. I would say the first thing is probably going to be hiring. I think a lot of founders, especially green founders, this is your first time starting a company. Before this, maybe you've had little to no experience working at a startup before. Maybe you're fresh out of college and you don't really know what it looks like to hire. You haven't put together a hiring process before. You never had to. So I think the expectations are off for a lot of founders when it comes to hiring. I hear a lot of, hey, Scott, can you just give me a list of candidates? I'll reach out to them, we'll get them through the pipeline, and by the end of the week, we'll make some offers. And I'm just like, no, it doesn't work that way. That's not how this works. Hiring is not some afterthought. It's not something you do on the side of whatever else you're doing for your startup. This needs your full attention. You need to be doing this. This is so important for your startup early on. The key people that you hire now are gonna make such a big difference, either in the positive direction or in a negative direction, that you should be focused on it all the time. And when reality sinks in and they realize they can't, that's when they actually end up hiring the wrong people because they're just so frustrated that they just want to get the hire that, whoever comes to the pipeline at this point that, passes some of the gates is probably going to get hired. And the next thing you know, yeah, you were trying to get rid of this person. So please focus on hiring. If you don't know how to do it, there's tons of resources out there. I'll leave some links below how to put together different resources. But at the end of it, you can leverage other people. You can learn a little bit on your own. But at the end of the day, you got to get in there and get your hands dirty and find the right people for your startup. Number 2 is going to be the thing that you hear all the time. Talk to your customers, talk to your users, talk to your potential customers, talk to your competitors' customers. You need to talk to more people because ultimately, if you're just sitting down and building in silence, you know what I'm talking about. You're just sitting down in your work from home office setup. You already got the design template that you got off some website for Figma, and you're about to convert that over to your MVP and you're ready to go. Okay, that's cool. But if your expectations is, we're gonna build this thing, we're gonna spend a couple months, and then we're gonna go ask some people to pay us, you literally might as well just go play the lotto. Instead, you should just be talking to more people. Doing that is a different change in mindset for a lot of people, but it is so important because if you don't, you end up just building something for yourself. Maybe your idea for your startup originated from some self-pain that you experienced and you built around that. But as you move into the market and you are trying to convince people to give you money so you can grow this business and change the world, you have to stop building for yourself at one point, right? And you can't guess. You can't just look out there and assume and be like, I think I know what they want. No, that's just not how this works. You need data. You need qualitative data. You need quantitative data. Learn from that, come back, add that to your product, add value, give it back to them, charge them for it, repeat the process. You have to do that. If you don't get good at that now, the chances of you succeeding are going to be very slim. Again, it's like winning the lotto. Please, please, please start talking to more people. It is essential. It is important. I would even say that it is absolutely necessary. I don't know how you would succeed without this. Number 3, stop procrastinating. You are so busy doing the things that are comfortable to you, like building things, making that component, designing things, talking to VCs, going to conferences, playing house, whatever you want to do, you're so comfortable doing that because it feels good, it feels easy, it's fun. But we both know that there's things in your email, there's things on your list of objectives to complete, there's conversations that you're putting off. Maybe they're so easy for you to do that you just push them off till later and later never comes. Or maybe they're just so difficult and challenging and there's so many unknowns around it that it's intimidating for you to even attempt to do them. Whatever the reason is, they have to get done. These things are necessary for your company and only you can do them. No one above you, no one's gonna come to you. You don't have a boss that's gonna come to you and say, hey, did you get that done this week? Because you know, if you don't, like, we're not gonna succeed. No, that's you. You're the boss. You have to figure that out, right? You need to be responsible. It's almost like being a parent, right? If you have children, children look at you as like superheroes that cannot do anything wrong and you're completely responsible for them. And you know, your startup is like your child. Your startup doesn't know what to do. You have to do it. You have to be the one that's responsible and taking care of your startup. And that includes doing all the back office things, all the tedious things, all the difficult things that require research that aren't exciting as like making an animation on your app or whatever, you know, tickles your fancy. Like whatever it is, like go do it because no one else is going to. And eventually that stuff adds up. So please stop procrastinating because it's not doing anyone any favors, especially your startup. Number 4, I'm gonna say this one is basically comes down to how you spend your money and what you spend it on, because burn is a real thing. You know, how much money you go through every month versus how much money you have coming in, that number is ticking and you only have so many dollars in the bank. Like, I know it looks big to see 7 digits plus in a bank account, but trust me, it adds up really quickly when you start having salaries and expenses and marketing and all types of stuff that you're doing to make sure your company succeeds. So keep the burn low, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to spend your money on things that aren't going to get your startup to the next goal, right? Because think about it. If you are spending money every month and you don't have money coming in, how are you going to sustain the company? Well, that's what investors are for, right? Yes, but investors aren't going to give you money if your startup isn't fitting this category, if they're not hitting these metrics and comparable to other startups in your market, right? No one's just gonna give you free money. Like, you have to show some type of progress. That means the money you have now should be spent on things that's gonna help you gain traction for your startup so you can continue to raise money and or make revenue and be profitable. So you can't afford to be spending money on things that aren't going to help you. You know, classic example is I see a lot of startups now, you know, good for them, they are fully remote, but then because the founder lives in New York, they decided to go get a really cushy office in New York that's super expensive that only the founder goes to, and maybe sometimes the employees fly in there that don't live in New York. Like, it's just kind of weird. Like, why are you spending the money on stuff like that? You have to be very cautious about that. Keep your burn low, get into cockroach mode. When I was running my startup, all my engineers made more money than me. And it's not because I paid them a ridiculous amount of money, like I paid them market rate. I just didn't pay myself that because I made sure that I only needed the smallest amount possible for me to survive so I can put everything back into the startup and be able to afford to hire people that are gonna help this company grow. And then number 5, the last but not least, is you're focused too much on competition, right? I know that one company is copying your product. They literally are doing the same thing you're doing. What I can tell you right now is that it actually doesn't matter early on. It really doesn't matter. I mean, it's a market, right? That's just how markets work. It's multiplayer. If the market that you're in is a big opportunity and there's a lot of pain and a lot of opportunity to add value, other people are going to come in the market, right? And then they're going to be inspired by your product if you're already there. That's just the nature of things. But having a competitor this early on is not necessarily a bad thing. Instead, you should stop focusing on that. You should focus on going back, talking to customers, creating that feedback loop of where you can build things really quick. Do what you can do and stop worrying about things you can't control. An example of it is when we started working on our product a couple of years ago, we were so focused on the competitor that was already there and well established. And we were asking ourselves, like, wow, we need to build the same features that they have. Like, look at the stuff that they have. Like, we have that. Why would a customer use our product when they can go use this product instead that's already got all these features? So instead of talking to customers, we just tried to copy our competitors and go from there. And that didn't work for us because what we didn't realize at the time is that our competitor had already moved up market and was serving a completely different customer base with a completely different needs than compared to the customers that we were trying to go after, right? We ended up building all of that stuff, but then we tried to go after these early adopters and whatnot. And they were like, what is this? That's not, you know, I don't really care about that, or that's not done well. In fact, that's why I got off copy your competitors. I was trying to do something else. So it was just a waste of time, which is a waste of money. And really, it was just a big kick mentally. It's a big mental and emotional blow too. So we lost a lot of steam, a lot of gas, and motivation along the way. So stop trying to copy your competitors. Stop worrying about your competitors copying you. Just focus on what you do. Talk to your customers, build something dope, and you can worry about competition later on when you're super successful. Okay, so those are my 5 things. I could talk about more. There's not just 5 things. These are just the ones that are like top of mind, the ones that I feel like I talk about the most with the companies that I work with, and the ones that were the most painful for me as an entrepreneur and a founder myself. So if you have anything to add to that, please leave a comment below or find me on Twitter. You know, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear any stories that you have. And if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because I want to keep making more of this stuff. And the more people subscribe to the channel, the more reach we'll have, the more people will view it, and the more time I'll have to do this. So please support the channel. That'll be great. And until the next one, peace.
See.